What's going on, everybody? So today we got something a little bit different. Today I am trying to learn how to basically use my computer. But it's a lot of people that do pictures with this with you following the screen. I didn't know how to do it, so now I'm doing it. And so today, this video that we're going to be watching, I've never watched this video. I just saw the title, thought it was interesting. I'm going to either yay or nay. I don't know this guy. I'm not hating on him if I disagree with him. I'm not vouching for him on any other thing than what I say about this video. I don't know him, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the $1,000 Days Club. Shout out to you guys, man. I just don't want, if I disagree with a lot of stuff, I don't want anybody to think I'm hating on them. And I never watched the video. I don't know what this guy's about to say. We're gonna watch it together. And this is gonna be, I'm gonna upload this to YouTube. I'm starting my YouTube channel. This YouTube channel looks fairly new with 865 subscribers, way more subscribers than I have. Yeah, he got 16 comments. This video uploaded 1 month ago, 3.2 thousand views. That's pretty cool, man. He looks like he's probably trying to grow his social media as well. So, and, you know, and a lot of guys, they try to bring you informational videos, you know, and it's a great thing, man. We live in the information age. I started my business in 2015. It just wasn't a whole lot of this going on back then. I won't say it wasn't happening at all. There was definitely some stuff out there. I didn't realize it until maybe 2021, 22. I didn't, like Facebook, I didn't know those groups existed or anything, man. I didn't know. You know, I was in business 5-6 years, so I learned how to do most of what I know by myself pretty much. You know, there were a few YouTube videos, but it wasn't anything major. Man, my first vinyl house that definitely needed SH, I cleaned it with degreaser. Okay, so that's, like, I just didn't know. Like, I didn't, and don't get me wrong, the degreaser worked, you know what I'm saying? But I just didn't know any better. So all these information, like you got Facebook groups, you got YouTube videos, you got TikTok, you got all kinds of ways to learn how to start this business, or for the guys who've been in this business, you got all kinds of ways to learn more and new information. So yeah, let's see what he's talking about though, man. I'm gonna go ahead and start this video, and let's see what he got to say about starting a pressure washing business in 2026.
All right, y'all, today we're gonna go over what you need in 2026 to start a pressure washing business at 3 different price points. I've seen some guys make some videos like this. They were awesome videos, but I felt like they didn't really break down the list, and I feel like having a list in front of you as well, 3 different price points to start is...
I like the fact that he got 3 different price points, because everybody is starting at a different point, man. You got some guys who have nothing, you got some guys who got a little something, and you got some guys that's ready to go all in with $50,000 to $100,000. So it's like, you can't say, like, you know, what do I need to start a business? Well, it's more the budget that you're working with is definitely more important. So I do like the way he broke that down into 3 different categories. So let's see what the 3 different categories are as far as the 3 different price points. I mean,
something a little bit different, so I wanted to do that. Now, something I don't have listed is a business license and insurance. Obviously, for any of these 3, you're gonna need that, okay? Some of you are gonna opt out of that, but I would highly recommend getting a business license and insurance, because that is going to protect you.
Business license and insurance. I can't speak for other states, but in the state of Georgia, you don't need a license. You start your LLC, and then you get your EIN number through the IRS. We don't need a license for pressure washing in Georgia. Insurance, I highly recommend you get insurance. Don't short step that. Just get insurance, okay? It's a lot that can happen, man. I've never had an insurance claim, thank God, but you don't want yourself in that situation, you know? It's like you want to make sure you're definitely covered and everything can be taken care of in case something does happen. So definitely have insurance.
And your business, mainly you though, okay? So let's just hop right into it. $1,000 to $1,500. And for the record, you could probably start it for much cheaper, but $1,000 to $1,500. If you want to go cheaper, hop on Facebook Marketplace, but you'll be able to buy some new equipment here. And something you're not going to see here is listed as a trailer. And some of you are going to say you need a trailer. I have seen guys with Priuses that are loading it in the back of their car, making it work, okay? So you need a pressure washer. I would recommend starting with the 4 gallon per minute. Again, if you want to go cheaper, you can start with less, but I would try to start with at least a 4 gallon per minute pressure washer. You can even get one of those, the DeWalt ones at Home Depot. You're going to need a garden hose. I would recommend 100 foot. You're going to need a J-rod tip. That's going to allow you to shoot a little bit higher than the tips that come with the pressure washer, okay? So that's going to allow you to get 2 to 3 stories depending on the gallons per minute you have for your pressure washer. Of course, you're going to need chemical.
As far as the way he explained a J-rod, a J-rod is nothing more than a tip holder, okay? It's a J-rod itself is not going to help you clean any higher. It depends on the tips you put in the J-rod. The tips are what matters. All right, and you can put all kinds of different tips in a J-rod. You could put 4 of the same tips in a J-rod. That would be stupid, but I'm just trying to point out, like, a lot of people, not just him, I see it every day, it seems like, somebody, when they think J-rods come with, I guess, preset tips or something, but they don't. Like, you can screw your own tips in a J-rod. So just the J-rod in itself is not, the J-rod in itself, the only purpose it serves is to keep 4 tips, and they got different sizes, some of them 2, some of them 3, some of them 4. It's just to keep the tips together and organized so that you can switch easily. Like, you spraying with your gun, you can switch the tips really easily with a J-rod. It's not going to help you clean any higher, though. The tip that you have in there matters tremendously.
I would recommend having a gas can. I guess technically you don't need a gas can, but it's one of those things that's cheap enough to have, and it's going to allow you to stay on a job site much longer than having to pack up and leave to go get gas just because you didn't want to spend the $30, probably even cheaper, to get a gas can. And then you're going to want a surface cleaner. Technically, you don't need a surface cleaner, but concrete when you're starting off is one of the things that you're probably going to be doing more of. So I'd recommend getting a surface cleaner, even if it's a small one, and that's going to allow you to clean concrete a lot faster.
I would say, he said technically you don't need a surface cleaner. I kind of disagree with that. If you want to pressure wash and you want to enter this business, get a surface cleaner. I've seen people try to wand whole driveways and they look horrible afterwards. Get a surface cleaner.
Faster. Now, some of you are going to say, well, what about a pressure washing hose? All right, I'm saying this is what you need to start with. Your pressure washer is most likely going to come with a pressure washing hose, okay? It's only going to be 50 foot, and you're going to have to be moving your pressure washer a lot, but this is what you need to start with, and that's probably going to come with it as well. It's going to come with the gun that you're going to need to start your pressure washing business, okay? So that's the basics, $1,000 to $1,500. Again, you could probably start it for even cheaper. This is basically... you want to upgrade very quickly. Quick little thing here. Here's my trailer. So it's not the nicest trailer that you'll see, but we wash some really nice properties with this trailer. We do commercial, we do residential, and it is just exactly what we need, and it is perfect.
That's a cool little trailer, man. You don't need these big $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 rigs. Like, that's nice. It's a luxury. Like, when you've been in the business a while, the guys are kind of treating themselves when they're buying this stuff, man. If you want what you actually need to clean property, we're going to look at his rig a little bit more in detail, I guess, now. But I see what looks like at least an 8 gallon per minute machine, a 12 volt pump. Like, literally, those you can clean almost anything with that. He got a chemical tank. He has a less than $100 buffer tank. Those IBC totes, which I also use, they're less than $100. You can get them normally for $50 to $75. You don't need a $500, $600 buffer tank. All right, so yeah, I actually love this rig. I can tell it's not professionally built. I can tell he built it, but it looks really good when it comes to people building their own rigs.
Gets us in and out. We're able to wash really nice houses in, an hour and a half to 3 hours. We're able to do driveways extremely fast, as I said. But basic setup here, and this would cost you roughly anywhere from $9,000 to $12,000 to set up, depending if you want to have somebody build it for you or not.
Gifts, decorations. How will we afford the holidays?
Go to Lowe's. They have great deals.
All right, so we're moving up now to the $2,500
that commercial threw me off a little bit. Guys who are content creators, are they paying for YouTube Premium so they don't have to deal with that? They gotta be.
To $5,000 mark. Now, some of the big differences here is just going to be upgrading, and you'll also have a trailer and such. So pressure washer, again, start off with at least a 4 gallon per minute machine, and if you can, do the 5.5 gallon per minute machine. That's going to make a pretty big difference. You're going to need a garden hose, again, 100 foot. I would recommend at least getting 100 foot of pressure or of garden hose. You're going to need a J-Rod tip or an M5 twist. I personally love the M5 twist. It makes it super easier to switch from a fan tip to a shooter tip. Some of you are going to say it's not a shooter tip. It's basically a shooter tip, okay? Maybe if you have actual shooter tip, you'll get a couple more feet, but it's not that big of a difference. But I like having the M5 twist. It's a little bit more expensive than what you can get a J-Rod tip off Amazon, but I truly love the M5 twist, so I recommend getting one of those. Reels, that's going to be one of the things.
See, again, he's comparing a J-Rod to an M5 twist, and see, with the J-Rod, you can put any tip you want to put in there. See, I think he's probably bought a preset J-Rod from Amazon, and he maybe doesn't realize exactly what the J-Rod is. The J-Rod is the part without the tips. The 4-part, all they do is weld 4 little holders together, and you have to put tips in it. That's what the J-Rod is. J-Rods don't come with certain tips. Like a lot of people, they sell J-Rods, like they'll have one, oh, this is a J-Rod made for a 4 gallon per minute machine. Well, the 4 tips they put in there are 4 different tips that are made for a 4 gallon per minute machine. When you say J-Rod, that has nothing to do with the tips. You can put any tips you want in the J-Rod. Hopefully that makes sense.
You don't have over here, that's going to make your life a lot easier. If you're going to go on the higher end of the budget, you could go with a pressure washing reel, pressure washing hose reel, and a garden hose reel. I would say if you're only going to get one reel, go with the pressure washing hose, because that one's a little bit heavier typically, and that's going to be harder to wrap around the arm, the old method. So that's how I started off. I had 0 reels when I started off. So I would recommend if you're going to get only one reel, do the pressure washing. Now, depending on how high you want to go with your budget, you can get a trailer for this one as well. May not be the biggest trailer. What I rock with is a 5x8, and I actually love the more compact one because it allows me to get in and out of spaces a lot easier than if I were to have like a 12-foot trailer, okay? So a gas can, again, self-explanatory. Now that you've got a bigger budget, highly recommend getting more pressure hose. 200 is ideal, 300 if you can, okay? 200 foot of pressure washing hose, pressure washing hose.
I would say at least 200. I don't care which budget it is. Because nothing sucks worse than getting to a job and you can't reach a certain point. And sometimes, you know, on these larger properties, you might need to get more than 100 feet away from your truck.
Is ideal. That's going to get you around most properties, right? And if you can, have an extra 100 foot. I wouldn't recommend keeping it on the reel, but that way if you have a hose pop on you, it's always nice to have a backup. All right, and then you could probably squeeze in a cheap soft wash system. Some of you are going to say, there's no way with that budget. I made a video, last week, teaching y'all how to build a $300 soft wash system. It's not the best soft wash system, but it's under $300, and you could allow yourself to wash roofs with your pressure washing business. So you can make that happen in this budget. You're going to need a chemical tank, or I guess you don't necessarily need. When I started off, I was doing the gallons, and I would pour them into a 5-gallon bucket. But at this price point, you can get a pretty cheap chemical tank for, I don't know, probably $50. And I would recommend getting that, and that way you can go to a supplier and you can get stronger bleach for cheaper. All right, and then you're going to need a surface cleaner, as we talked about here. Depending on the size of your machine, you can go a little bit bigger surface cleaner. Typically, rule of thumb.
Hey, this is kind of a side step, but I'm going to show y'all why I don't like those big guys that he's using.
And the pressure washing.
I just saw that little hyperlapse off to his right.
In the gallons, and I would pour them into a 5-gallon bucket. But at this price point, you can get a pretty cheap chemical tank for, I don't know, probably $50. And I would recommend getting that, and that way you can go to a supplier and you can get stronger bleach for cheaper. All right, and then you're going to need a surface cleaner, as we talked about here. Depending on the size of your.
You see how he wiggling side to side with his surface cleaner? I'm pretty sure that's a big guy. The reason he's doing that is because it has stationary wheels on it. that's why I would never buy a surface cleaner with stationary wheels on it. I don't want to do what he's doing right there. I like to be able to. I like casters where I can go wherever I want to go, whenever I want to go. What he was just doing, and I've seen the only reason I hate it, the only reason that caught my attention, because I've seen people take mini Mondos and put stationary wheels on them. I'm like, why didn't you just buy the big guy? Like, it's half the price and it already has stationary wheels. That didn't make sense to me. I don't know why people do that, and especially when you're talking about putting stationary wheels on a mini Mondo. It's like, that's just, a big guy is like 28 inches, a mini Mondo is 31 inches. It's 3 inches. If you want stationary wheels, just get the big guy. I'm sure some people prefer it. I'm not speaking bad about it, but like, what he's doing right there is why I don't want stationary wheels on my surface cleaner. I would rather have no wheels or casters.
Machine, you can go a little bit bigger surface cleaner. Typically, rule of thumb in the pressure washing world, per 4 inches of surface cleaner, or per gallon of pressure washer. So if you have a 4 gallon per minute pressure washer, that means you get 16-inch surface cleaner. Let me rephrase that. Okay, per gallon per minute of pressure washer, you get 4 inches of surface cleaner. So 4 gallon per minute surface cleaner, or 4 gallon per minute pressure washer, you get a 16-inch surface cleaner. All right. So
he's not. I wouldn't say he's wrong with that, and I wouldn't say he's right. I think there's just some kind of weird general rule that people on the internet made up. I ran on a 4 GPM machine. I've comfortably ran a 20 inch. I've also ran a 24 inch. I didn't like running the 24 inch on it, but 20 inch to me works fine with 4 GPM. But what he's saying, it's a lot of people that feel that way. A lot of opinions on that.
if I were to get a 5.5, I would go with a 20-inch surface cleaner, if that makes sense. Sorry, I messed that up a little bit, but I'm not starting the video over. And then a ball valve is going to be nice. I don't know why I added that in. That's something super cheap, and I would definitely, if you can afford it, get it over here because it's going to make your life a lot easier. It allows you to switch from the gun to your surface cleaner without having to turn the machine off. Also, rinsing with the ball valve on concrete, super nice to have. And then I would recommend getting a toolbox so you can keep your spare miscellaneous stuff in the toolbox. That's going to be super nice to have as well. Otherwise, you're going to have it spread out in your car or your truck. All right, so that's the basics of what you could get with the $2,500 to $5,000 budget. Now, depending on where you're going to be, closer to the $2,500 to $5,000 depends on what type of equipment you get. Again, maybe you go with 300 foot of hose, maybe you go with 200 foot of garden hose, maybe you get both the J-Rod tip and the M5 tip, maybe you get 2 reels instead of 1, maybe your trailer's a little bigger or smaller, things like that, okay? So let's get into the $10,000 to $15,000. Obviously, between the $5,000 and $10,000, you could find some stuff in there as well. But let's say you wanna bump it up a little bit, all right? Now, over here, you're going to get a much bigger pressure washer. I would recommend getting at least an 8 gallon per minute pressure washer if you have that much of a budget. That's going to make a big difference. Now, I went from a 4 gallon per minute machine to an 8 gallon per minute machine, and it made a massive difference. Like seriously, incredible difference. So if you have a bigger budget, that's one of the things. 8 gallons per minute in the pressure washing world is a lot more important than PSI. Obviously, you don't want like 1,000 PSI, but if you're getting an 8 gallon per minute machine, it's not going to be 1,000 PSI, most likely, unless you're getting a soft wash machine. But if you're getting a pressure washer and it's 8 gallons per minute, that sweet spot is kind of around 3,000 to 4,000 PSI, all right? Garden hose, you'll bump it up to about 200 foot here. And a lot of what you're going to see over here is just better equipment, more of the equipment, right? So garden hose, 200 foot. If you're feeling frisky, get 300 foot. But I've never come across a job where I needed more than 200 foot of garden hose. Really never more than.
Do you own land in Georgia and want to build a custom home?
Gotta get rid of your
Imagine planning and building your
150. But if you're feeling frisky, get 300 foot. Multitude of tips. So you'll want the J-Rod tip, you'll want the M5 twist, and then just some miscellaneous. You'll want a turbo nozzle, things like that, going to make your life a lot easier. Reels. You'll want to get a pressure wash or a pressure hose reel, a garden hose reel, and then a soft wash hose reel. Okay, so multitude of reels here. Then a trailer. You can get a bigger trailer, a nicer trailer, something that can haul more weight and things of that sort. A gas can, again, it's going to allow you. So if you're getting an 8 gallon per minute machine, you're going to have a connected gas tank to it. Typically, those don't come with a gas tank, but I'm saying a spare gas tank on top of that gas tank that connects to the pressure washer, okay? Pressure washing hose, I would recommend bumping up to 300 foot. Again, typically, even though we keep 300 to 400 foot of pressure washing hose on the trailer, we only keep 200 on the actual reel because rarely do we actually need more than 200 foot to wash a property. It's very rare, maybe 5 to 10 times a year, unless it's a commercial property. On residential, we rarely need more than 200 foot of pressure washing hose, okay? And with these two options, it's gonna allow you to keep the pressure washer with the 200 foot. That means that you don't have to move your pressure washer around. Over here, you're gonna have to be dragging the pressure washer around the property. I did it. When I started, that's how I started. I was doing that. So with these two options, you just get to keep the pressure washer in one place. You don't have to worry about moving it. And if you have an 8 gallon per minute, you ain't toting that thing around anyways. All right, so where were we? Pressure washing hose, 200 to 300 foot. If you're feeling frisky, get 400 foot, and you'll always have some backup. Now you can get a nice soft wash. So over here, you're not gonna have a proportioner. You're not gonna have the reel. You're not gonna have a surfactant tank, a chemical tank, which all that's gonna make your life a lot easier. And maybe instead of a 12 volt pump, you go to a gas pump, okay? So that's gonna be where you get more into that $15,000 side, but you can decide what you want your soft wash to be. You can upgrade it a little bit more, and you can still go with a smaller soft wash if you don't plan on doing many roofs, and you can upgrade it later. But you can, with this budget, you can start off with a lot nicer soft wash system. And some people use their soft wash system to wash houses. I personally like to downstream, okay? Now, let's get into, so tanks, you can get a little bit nicer tanks if you got a bigger budget. Now, how much does that matter? It's more about appearance and how long they're gonna last. Now, I've got one of those tote tanks with the metal wrapped around. I can't think of the proper name for it, but this is gonna allow you to get those nicer looking tanks, and it's just gonna be a better presence when you're on the property. Surface cleaner, you're gonna want a bigger surface cleaner, more than likely, depending.
I don't think clients care about the way that tank look. they big old tanks. It's a commercial tank, but it's the price difference on that IBC tote versus an actual, a leg tank that they make. I think like $500-$600 versus the IBC tote for $50. It's like if I get one of those $500-$600 tanks, I just I consider it a luxury that I don't need at all.
On the tips you have in your surface cleaner, we can go over that in a later video if y'all like. Any questions y'all have, please drop them down in the comments because I'm always looking for ideas. I just started this channel. I do more short form on this, but if y'all want longer form content, I'm always looking for ideas to make longer form content on. So drop down any questions you have in the comments. Now for an 8 gallon per minute, what does that add up to? 8 times 4 is what? 32, right? Please tell me my math is right and I'm not gonna get roasted. But I have a 32-inch surface cleaner for my 8 gallon per minute machine, and you're gonna be able to clean concrete extremely fast. We knock out driveways in 20 to 30 minutes, from the time we get set up to the time we leave. So super nice. Bigger surface cleaner, obviously gonna cost a little bit more money. Ball valve, again, gonna make your life a lot quicker, a lot faster. And then the toolbox, okay? So you can obviously get a little bit bigger toolbox. You're probably gonna have more stuff. All right, now, I did wanna go over some miscellaneous stuff that you're probably gonna wanna have that you don't necessarily need, but it will make your life a lot easier. One is a pump-up sprayer. So a lot of times we like to do that because if there's a really bad spot, sometimes, on driveways, there's a really bad spot that downstreaming the chemical is not gonna clean it up. So a pump-up sprayer is gonna allow you to touch up those small spots a lot easier with just a pump-up sprayer. So you'd want a pump-up sprayer. A water-fed pole, those can get expensive, but I've also found some cheaper ones on Amazon. You can get them from $100 to $200. You can also spend $1,000 to $3,000 on them. And that's gonna allow you to clean windows and add that service to your business. I've also got a notepad over here that I wrote a couple things down on. It's gonna allow you with the bigger budgets to have backups, all right? So one more thing.
My wife thought I was cheating on her because I look so dressed up lately. Truth is, I'm just wearing jeans. Yes. With
backups, so there's a saying in service-based business industries, that if you have one, you have none. And if you have two, you have one, right? So that's just gonna be, if something goes down on site, you don't have to worry about leaving the property. It's like, okay, we just change that out. Kind of back to if you have a hose pop, it's nice to have that extra 100 foot of pressure washing hose, right? You don't really have to worry about your garden hose popping, but you never know. It might kink up and create a hole in it, right? But basically just backups. Brushes. Now, brushes are something you definitely want to have. Sometimes you're just going to have some stubborn stains, and it allows you to just get rid of things. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all I could think of. I'm sure there's a bunch of other things I could think of, but I was making this video on the spot. So that's basically what you need to start a pressure washing business. Again, some of you are going to say business license insurance. Of course you need that, right? Some of you are going to opt out of that. I would recommend getting it 100%. Before you start, before you go working on somebody's property, and God forbid something go wrong. Now, if y'all want to join our school community, it is $1,000 Days Club, and we teach you everything you need to know about how to get leads. And it's not just for pressure washers, which it's mainly for pressure washers, but you can take a lot of the stuff we use and add it to other service-based businesses to help you get more leads. But we teach you everything you need to know. I answer questions in there within 24 hours. Small little plug at the end of this video. If you like this video, please throw a thumbs up, maybe subscribe if you're interested. And again, let me know any questions y'all have about pressure washing, about how to get leads down in the comments, and I will do my best to make a video on it. So that's all I got. So 3 different price points to start a pressure washing business and what you actually need. And I know this wasn't as fun as some of those other guys' videos where they're like bouncing around, things are popping up. Maybe I'll try to do that in editing, but I got a lot going on. So mine was more just like very generic, what you actually need down to the basics. You can screenshot this and you can have a list of what you actually need. All right, so let me know what.
I don't know if he added that Angie's List Thumbtack on there or not, but stay the hell away from Angie's List Thumbtack. they post up. I have like 60 something 5-star reviews on Thumbtack because I actually started my business on the back of Thumbtack. It was great back then. But now, man, it's just a money grab. They just want your money.
Kind of questions y'all got, and thank you for watching to the end of my video. I really, truly appreciate it.
So overall, great video, man. I agree with pretty much everything he said. The only thing I kind of
if you're looking to start a pressure washing business, you
wanted to add to it is the what he was saying about J-Rods. But yeah, that was a great video though, man. Y'all want to see a 20 GPM pressure?
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Dustin from Summit Wash Pros here in Kansas City, Missouri, your moderator on Power Wash Bros. Today I'd like to give you a trailer tour of my pressure.
Moderator from Power Wash Bros. I got kicked out of that group. The guy from Texas does not like constructive criticism. Everybody, if you in the pressure washing industry, you know exactly who I'm talking about. It's hilarious, but yeah, what did he say his name was? Wish I could be a part of your group, man. Y'all let the wrong person be an admin.
Washing trailer. It is a 14-foot by 76-inch trailer with dual 7,000-pound axles, so 14K rating with 10-ply tires.
Yeah, he's not playing. This is a rig. This is when you're starting to get into the luxury of things, and this is a pretty penny, you know. Then he even got the 7,000-pound axles, which you need all that for all this. Like it's like a 500-gallon tank. I can see at least 2 50-gallon chemical tanks. You got a bunch of stuff on here. That's at least 4 hose reels. I see. I think that's at least 2 hot water machines, which is extremely heavy. Let's go around this rig.
The whole height of the trailer is 6 feet 8 inches, so it allows me to work in 7-foot parking garages, just barely, but it does. And I'd just like to give you a tour of the rig. I built it in about a month in my spare time, but this is my main rig that I'll be washing around Kansas City with. So just to go into the rig, I'll start from the front and work my way back, and I'll kind of explain everything on the rig as I go with tips and tricks and nuggets. So we'll start here at the tongue. Safety is the most important. So you have 2 grade 8 chains here that are properly lengthed, and you always cross your chains and you always put the hook underneath. Pair that with a locking coupler, an adjustable coupler, and it has a breakaway kit, the cable, and a side mount trailer jack so that I can store it away. And I'm allowed to have a toolbox here because there's no center jack. So the toolbox is from Tractor Supply. This allows me to store all of my chemicals and extra tools. So going through here, one thing you need to have for DOT is your SDS sheets. So I have a whole binder full of SDS sheets. You can also have an app that does that. Don't forget your triangles and your side of the road safety equipment.
This video is 35 minutes. I just realized how long it was. And I don't want my video to be a freaking hour. So this is a very nice rig. I can tell. I'm going to watch this video. But yeah, like I said, I was just trying to learn how to do what I just did. Shout out to everybody. Hopefully everybody has a very successful 2026. And wash on.